Yo, welcome back. It's your favorite flipper, your favorite broker, your favorite all of that. And today I'm going to answer the age-old question. Should you buy a house that you've never seen the interior of, okay? Should you buy a house and you ain't never been in the inside? That's the real question here. Now, what circumstances would put you in a space where you would have to even think about buying a house that you've never seen the inside of? Well, if you're an investor, and if you ever been to the auction, then you know that if the house is occupied, you can't get in the inside. And also, there's certain off-market deals. Right now, I'm dealing with one right now that I closed on. They had a tenant in there that was resistant, and they ain't really want to cooperate, so I had to make a choice. I had to make a decision. Am I gonna move and pass on this deal, or am I just gonna buy this house and trust my gut, trust my instinct, and trust my abilities to actually get through the project? Of course, I chose the latter, and it's worked out for me thus far. But there are three things that I think that every investor should consider before you decide to buy a house, sight unseen, a house that you've never seen the inside of. The first thing that I would do if I'm thinking about buying a house that I haven't seen the inside of is I want to take my time and examine the exterior of this home. Now, I know your first question, like, what am I looking for on the outside of this home? Well, the first thing I'm looking for is, does this house need a roof? How can you tell if it needs a roof? Very basic stuff. Are shingles missing? Does the roof look old? Do you see hail damage up there? Is there a hole in the roof? All of these things are things that you really got to consider, because the roof, well, most of the time, roof is somewhere around like a $10,000 expense, give or take 2 or 3,000, depending on the size, depending on how many squares, all of this. The roof is a major expense, but it's something that you don't need to get on the inside to be able to tell. So the first thing I'm looking at is, what's this roof look like? The second thing I'm looking at is all of the trim, all of the fascia boards, all of the baseboards. I mean, not the baseboards, but the fascia boards, all of the soffit, all of the bases, the base trim around the windows. I'm looking at this and I'm trying to see, is this rotten? It doesn't have termite damage. Am I gonna have to replace this? Has it been painted? You know, what's going on with this? This is the thing that I really can tell from the outside, without ever having to step in the inside. I know just by looking at the outside, just by looking at the trim, just by looking at the soffit, just by looking at the fascia, just by looking at the trim around the windows, just by looking at the trim around the doors, that lets me know right there what I'm facing and what I have to look forward to when I get in the inside of the house. The third thing I'm gonna look at on the outside is the HVAC system. Absolutely. I want to look and see, is that unit old? Does it exist at all? Are there window units in the window that's letting me know that they ain't got no central heating air in this house? If there is a package unit or a condenser on the outside, then what's the condition of it? Is it old? Does it look like it's functional? Has it been ramshacked? The one that I bought, it looked like it had been torn apart. So I already knew what time it was. I knew that this house had a duct system, right? Because it had a central heat and air system on the outside, but the system looked like it had been vandalized. So I knew automatically that I needed to budget for replacing the HVAC system. I also knew that I needed to budget for replacing the roof, because the roof looked a mess when I came up, you know? So there are a couple of things that I'm thinking about. Also, I'm thinking about what is this house built of? Like, what is the siding of this house like? Is it aluminum? Is it wood? Is it asbestos siding? Is it brick? You know? Ideally, if I'm gonna buy a house sight unseen, I'm hoping that it's brick, because that's at least one thing I ain't got to think about. But this house that I bought, of course, it was not brick. It was aluminum siding, which saved me some because it's metal, and you know, I can kind of get around that. But that's something else to consider. What's the house made of? Does it have central heating air? What's the condition of the system? What does the roof look like? Is there rotten wood? All of these things are going to tell you something about the inside of the house. Because I can tell you right now, if the roof need to be replaced, if the HVAC system ain't on point, if you got rotten wood all around the house, if the outside is falling apart, if the siding is falling all off the house, if the rot around the door frame is there, I can tell you right now, you ain't got to ask yourself no mystery question. You can get to the bottom of it. If it's fucked up on the outside, I can guarantee you that it's fucked up on the inside. And so these are all things that you got to consider. So that's the first thing I'm thinking about. Before I buy a house sight unseen, I'm thinking about, what can I deduce about this place from the outside, all right? The second thing that I'm going to think about is this. What do the comps say? That's the core of every question, because whether you're planning to keep it, whether you're planning to Airbnb it, whether you're planning to long-term rent it, midterm rentals, whether you're planning to flip it, whatever you got to do, you still have to go into this with your exit strategy in mind. And so I know exactly what I can pay for this house based upon
what the houses are selling for in that neighborhood. What is the ARV of this house? That's the first thing I want to know. What are the comps selling for out here? Because if I know that the comps support what I think that this property needs in regards to a rehab, then that informs what my price needs to be. You feel me? And so again, you want to think about, what do the comps say about this house? What are the comps, you know? And the third thing, and the last thing that you want to consider is this. If the comps are in place, if the exterior, you know, you're able to deduce what's going on from the exterior and you can see like, okay, I can make sense to this property, I can make sense to this project, then the third thing that you want to consider is this. What contractors, what resources, what funding do you have in place in order to complete this project? Because the sickest thing that I see is when investors, or especially newbies, get into a project and they get stuck. They pour money in ad nauseum. They have contractors that come up and steal and take the money and never show and never do the work. What I'm saying is, if you're gonna buy a house sight unseen, you need a strong contractor that you have a great relationship with, somebody that you know and can trust, and somebody that you know ain't gonna screw you over. You need strong resources in place if you're gonna buy a house sight unseen. You need to know what the exterior condition is like, and you also need to know what the comps are paying for. Simple, straightforward, right down to earth. Should you buy a house that you ain't seen the inside of? In some cases, yes, but you gotta go in the door informed on the front end.